the ceremony is just the beginning of your experience. When the ceremony is over, people think that their journey, their process is over, but this is something that cannot be further from the truth. And this integration process can take up to 1 year. You cannot expect that overnight everything will change in your life with basically somebody is doing a miracle for you and not putting much effort in it apart from like going to a ceremony, right? It's not like psilocybin mushrooms that you can just go to the forest and pick mushrooms, because this is two plants and this is prepared. This is something that you do not take mushrooms, you can take in their original form or dried or whatever. And this medicine is prepared from two plants. What is ayahuasca? Hello and welcome back to our podcast, Ayahuasca Avatars. And today we're going to dive in to the 7 most Googled questions about ayahuasca. So if you are interested in having an ayahuasca experience, or if you already had one, but you are still, have questions unanswered, this is definitely a podcast for you. And I was myself very curious, what are the specific questions that people want to know the most about. So I collected these 7 questions that was most Googled in the recent years about ayahuasca, and I'm gonna give you my perspective on the answers. So stay with us and hope you're gonna find a lot of good gems in this podcast and just find some answers maybe that you are looking for. Okay, so as the psychedelic renaissance is really rolling out, especially in the United States, with the legalization and the education about psychedelic healing, psychedelic substances, one of the most popular but least researched and regulated substance or plant is the ayahuasca. And the first question that most people ask on the internet is, what is ayahuasca? So if you don't know it yet, then ayahuasca is a plant. Its Latin name is Banisteriopsis capi, okay? And it's a type of vine that grows around trees in the Amazon region, so mainly Peru, Brazil, Ecuador. These are the places, right, where they are most commonly found, and they use this plant in conjunction with another plant, which is a shrub, and it's called Psychotria viridis. Okay, so and what we call the ayahuasca brew, what people drink in an ayahuasca ceremony that looks like a tea, that's a combination of these two plants. And ayahuasca is that's one of the unique kind of characteristics of this medicine as well, that it's a combination of two plants, while with other medicines is just one plant that they are using with other sacred plants. Okay, so the vine itself is called the ayahuasca, and then the shrub itself is called chacruna. Okay, and they take the leaves of the shrub and take the vine itself, and they combine these two plants together and they cook them together to make one brew. Okay, so when people ask what is ayahuasca, that's what most people refer to is the brew that people drink in a ceremony. But if you refer to the plant as ayahuasca, then people refer to the vine itself, right? And not the shrub. That's called chacruna. Okay. Ayahuasca traditionally was used in this region for thousands of years, even though we have very little written evidence. But because these indigenous traditions were mostly oral traditions, so all the wisdom was passed down through teaching the next generation orally. But we know that these traditions, like using these sacred plants, the ayahuasca and the chacruna, goes back to thousands of years. And the main reasons why they used them in the past was for healing, for resolving conflict in the community, divination, a form of praying to a higher power, hunting. I heard that some people used it to sharpen their senses for hunting. And so there was like many traditional uses of this medicine. And there was like a shadow side of this medicine, which was a type of kind of psychic warfare or brujeria, is when people used these sacred plants with intent to harm or to manipulate other people. Okay, but this is not really our point in this episode, but just for you to know that the plant itself is neutral, so to say. It's not good or bad. You can use this plant to amplify, whatever is that you are doing. So the intention of the person who is using the plant, that's what determines mostly, if the outcome is what we call good or bad, so to say. All right. So the second most asked question is how long ayahuasca lasts. So normally ayahuasca lasts overnight. It's normally taken at night. Normally the ceremony starts in the evening and go overnight till the morning, but you are not in that very altered state the whole night. When you are in that psychedelic journey, I would say is between kind of 4 to 6 hours in general. All right. And what I would really like to emphasize, though, is that the ceremony is just the beginning of your experience, of your healing experience, of your awakening experience, right? Whatever is your intention when you go into this journey, because many people focus on the ceremony and only on the ceremony. And when the ceremony is over, people think that their journey, their process is over, but this is something that cannot be further from the truth. And if you are following my podcast, you know that how much I emphasize, what happens after the ceremony and in the integration process, right? Because that's where the real change happens. That's where the magic happens. That's where the embodiment happens. And, that's how we create those breakthrough results and those changes that we are looking for. And this integration process can take up to 1 year, depending on the depth of your journey and the intention that you set forward, and a lot of other factors as well. So when we talk about how long is the effect of the medicine, the people often think about the effect on your physical body when you are physically, like psychologically altered, right? And you are in that psychedelic experience and that lasts for a few hours. But your experience with the medicine or this journey, that will last way more than the ceremony. It will last for months and months and sometimes for years. And it's very important that we understand that and we approach this, if you want to work with this medicine, you approach it as such, right? Because think about it, that like you cannot expect that overnight everything will change in your life with basically somebody is doing a miracle for you and not putting much effort in it apart from like going to a ceremony, right? So you have to put in the work, and that takes time. And the ceremony is just the beginning of your journey. It's kind of like opening a door, is like entering into this new path that you're going to work on for a while. So if you don't have this intention, to really commit to the whole experience, then maybe this is not the type of medicine that you are ready to work with at this time. So yeah, just very important that the ceremony is not the end of the experience, and what happens after is often more meaningful, what people experience in the ceremony. And yeah, we're gonna talk about it, in another episodes. We talk about how important that integration is and how can you support yourself when you are outside of the ceremony experience. Number 3, Where to get ayahuasca? Well, I understand why people Google this question so much, because they are like, okay, mushrooms, you can get mushrooms. You can go to the forest and get mushrooms. So people kind of put everything in one category. But again, I just want to emphasize that, it's not like a psilocybin mushrooms that you can just go to the forest and pick mushrooms, because this is two plants and this is prepared. This is something that you do not take mushrooms, you can take in their original form or dried or whatever. And this medicine is prepared from two plants. If you so you are not kind of getting it, for yourself, but somebody is getting it for you, who knows where to get it from, right? I know that today, unfortunately, you can get ayahuasca wine from the internet and chacruna leaves, and they send it to you. Or you can get the paste itself that is already kind of cooked. And I would just say that I really recommend that you never buy from the internet, that you never buy from people who you don't know nothing about, that you don't know their credentials. And if you want to get authentic experience, I always say to people, if you have the possibility to go to the source, right? And in this case, the source would be the Amazon forest, to go to Peru, to go to Brazil, and to go to the indigenous wisdom keepers who have this knowledge, who have access to the medicine, who have the traditions, how to harvest and prepare this medicine and all those things, right? So if you can, then you go to the source and find the people there where the tradition is coming from. And that's what I did. Like when I was living in Europe, I had opportunity. I was invited multiple times to go to an ayahuasca ceremony, and I had the intention to go to an ayahuasca ceremony, but I just didn't feel it, in alignment at the time. And I decided that I want to wait until, I can organize to go to Peru. And that was important for me. Now, not saying that you cannot have a significant experience in Europe or in the United States or wherever. Sometimes these indigenous wisdom keepers and medicine holders, they travel out of the Amazon and they bring the medicine and they serve the medicine in other countries as well. Okay, so that's also a way to access ceremonies and the medicine. And then also there are ayahuasca churches. So ayahuasca church is the traditional, most well-known, biggest church is called Santo Daime, and it comes from Brazil, and it's kind of like Christianity, a little bit mixed with indigenous plant medicine wisdom. It's very there is many traditions, on how people work with this medicine, but in general it's very communal, that this happens in a circle, in a group setting. There is several people present. These groups, for example, if you take the Shipibo tradition from Peru, is normally a small group setting, like 8, 10, 12 people. But if you're talking about maybe a Santo Daime church experience, it can be over 100 or sometimes hundreds of people participating in one ceremony. But generally, traditionally, it is in a group setting. So it's not, again, I'm comparing it to mushrooms, but it's completely different from all other plant medicines. But it's not like, oh, I got some mushrooms and I'm going to go out to nature and get some mushrooms and trip and have some insights or do some healing work or whatever. It's not like that. This medicine has to be served and consumed in a particular setting, in a particular way, and guided by people who know what they are doing. And this is very important to understand, that we cannot put in the same category and maybe other psychoactive plants. And therefore, when you ask where to get ayahuasca, then as I recommended, you have to find the authentic people who are working with this medicine for a while and who are experienced and trained and authorized, to do this. And then you will go access the medicine through them, and through a ceremony setting, you will go to a ceremony when you can access the medicine. So it's absolutely not a good idea to order medicine from the internet, to cook it at home, to consume it by yourself. These are super, super no. No, no, no. Okay. I'm not gonna go in this podcast, why is this important, but we made other episodes about this. So check out the other episodes and just, yeah, trust me on this, that you need that guidance, you need that container for safety, for protection, for guidance. And it's very, very important that there is people, trusted people and good places where you can access the medicine and have this healing or awakening experience. Okay. And the next question, very much relates to it. So people are asking, how can I make ayahuasca? Okay, so again, lots of the things that I mentioned earlier apply to this question as well, that if you're asking this question, you shouldn't make it, right? You just know, don't make it, don't think about it, because people who prepare this medicine, they trained to prepare this medicine. When I was in Peru with the Shipibos, and I had just the honor to study there for a little while, first they go and harvest the plants, and the plant master and the shaman harvest the plants and find the plants in the jungle and ask permission from the plants to be harvested. Then they bring the plants into the village, and the vine itself is being taken apart, kind of, and into the fibers, and it's layered into a big kind of cauldron, a big pot. So they layer the wine, and then they put the leaves, the chacruna leaves, and then wine, and then leaves, and so it goes, right? And during this process, while they are preparing and putting it into the pot, they are praying over it, they are singing the prayer songs, the Icaros, they are calling in the working with the plant spirits, and then they start cooking it, and they cook it, like 16 hours, 18 hours, 20 hours, sometimes a whole day, and they are guarding that fire, and they are praying to the medicine and with the medicine. And it's very, very important, the energy, the person who cooks, who prepares the medicine, the energy of that person, all those prayer songs. Maybe this sounds totally ridiculous to you right now, and I hear you and I understand that, but believe me, that is important part of the medicine, that becomes part of the medicine. So for example, if somebody harvests the medicine without asking permission from the plants, from the jungle, harvesting it with the intention of greed and financial gain, then selling that medicine, or maybe cooking that medicine just to earn money out of this, right? Then all that energy will be part of that medicine. And if you buy medicine from unknown sources, you don't know who harvested those plants, who cooked those plants, who prepared it, like who handled it. And all this energy is part of the medicine. So it's very, very important. You also only should trust medicine that comes from people who prepared it with the utmost integrity and purity and prayers and all the love and all the healing, that can go into that medicine. And I drank many different medicines, over the last 12 years. And I can tell you that you can feel the difference. And sometimes I had experience when I've seen in my journey, in my ayahuasca ceremony, the prayers, like I saw the prayers like visibly that were woven into the medicine, the people who prayed over the medicine and who prepared this medicine for us. So yeah, this is something like very important. So again, just emphasizing that the person who is handling, who is preparing the medicine, and then the whole environment where that medicine is being prepared and then being maybe shipped or taken from one place to another, these all have effects, and you should avoid at all costs to ordering from unknown sources or preparing it for yourself or taking it alone without any supervision. And if you feel called to work with this medicine, seek out, go to the source, or go to people who learned from indigenous people, indigenous wisdom keepers, and authorized and trained and experienced, to guide you through this experience. Okay. Now, the next question, and this is, I think, one of the most Googled keywords in the psychedelic field and era. Number 5 is ayahuasca retreats and ayahuasca near me. And it's a great idea, I think, if you are a first timer, if you are a beginner, then to go to a retreat, right? To go to an organized retreat where you can connect with people, right, who are more experienced and can guide you and support you through this journey. So that's great. But the biggest problem for people who are first timers is that how to tell which place can be trusted and which place cannot be trusted, because unfortunately there is a lot of kind of charlatans out there, a lot of people who are offering things without proper training or education or experience or permission, and a lot of people offering things only for financial gain because now this is something fashionable and interesting to do. And yeah, and people can have all kinds of intentions, right? But my point is that not everything is love and light. Not everybody who is putting on a retreat is once, is considering the best for you and your best interest. And we have to be very discerning to what you support, where do you go to, who do you give your power to, so to say, in a way, because you are kind of surrendering to a certain extent to these people or to these places. So what becomes a little bit challenging at the beginning, that is hard to discern what is true, what is not, what is authentic, because you don't know, you don't have any previous experience, and maybe also you are not so educated in this area. So what I would say is that before, you're thinking of going for an ayahuasca retreat, just do a little bit of research and educate yourself in general about ayahuasca and how to work with the ayahuasca and the whole process and how to prepare and what happens after in the integration. So just, educate yourself a little bit first, because I can tell you I did not do that when I started. And I was just like, I follow the higher guidance. And yeah, I wish I would have done it. It will benefit you. It will protect you from certain things. It will help you to recognize red flags. So educate yourself. There is so much information on the internet now, just on my podcast. If you just listen to my podcast, you will you will have everything you need to know, and you will be able to choose the right place for you, a safe place for your experience. So that's something very important to do your research, to educate yourself, and then look at what is out there. A lot of people go to their first ceremony because somebody recommends a place. Okay, you have a friend or acquaintance and they go to a ceremony and they wanna, they recommend it to you, or that, for example, you remember that they went and you are asking for the contact. Or either way, a lot of people go through familiar people who they kind of trust first, and this is not necessarily bad, but your friend might be in the same situation, that they might not have the adequate awareness and knowledge, and they didn't do maybe their research, and maybe they don't have all the information to discern, right? So it's not, I would say, don't give your power away completely to another person. Even if that person is your friend or your best friend or somebody who you trust, still do a little bit of research, still check it out, still make sure that it's aligned with your values and principles. Okay, so I want to give you a couple of questions and guideposts that you can start to use to tell, is this a legit place, or this is some kind of scam? Okay, so one of the things that you can ask is where the medicine is coming from and who is preparing it. Okay, who is serving the medicine, who is leading the ceremony, what are the credentials of that person? Is this an indigenous person? And if so, what kind of lineage? Who was their teacher? How long they studied? What kind of reputation they have in their own community, right? How much experience they have. So it's very important, to ask these questions, where the medicine is coming from, who is preparing, who is serving the medicine, and what are their credentials and their experience, that kind of authorizes them to do this, to offer this. Another questions to ask, how many people will participate in the ceremony? How many people will be present? How many facilitators will be present? So if it's a bigger group, if you're going to a group of 50 people and they tell you, oh, there is only one, just the shaman is going to be there, and that's it, that's a red flag. If there is a bigger group, there should be the shaman, and it should be a bunch of facilitators who are kind of helpers, who help in the space and support people. So if it's a small place of, I would say around 10 people, it's possible that one shaman can facilitate that. That's kind of 10, 12 is that limit. If it's a bigger group, it has to have extra facilitators, right? You can ask, is there any medical person present in the premises, like a doctor, like a medical doctor, or where is the closest emergency place? Where's the closest hospital or medical facility? How far is that from the ceremony? You can ask, what is your client intake? Obviously, if they don't have a client intake process, super red flag, yeah. But their client intake, they have to provide you with written agreements. They have to provide you with a waiver, with a medical intake form, with an agreement that outlines, what's going to happen and what is that you agreed upon, right? What are your duties and responsibilities? So, if you don't get these documents, these formulas, then definitely a red flag. If they don't ask anything from you, if they just want you to pay the money and they don't care about your medical history or why you are coming or who you are on, that's super red flag again. So, these are important things. Another question that you can ask is, do they provide aftercare and integration support after the ceremony? What happens after the ceremony? Can you recommend therapists, integration therapists or groups where I can go, that after, or can I come back to you if I have difficulty in my journey, right? So also you can ask, if it's not indigenous people who serve the medicine, you can ask them, who gave you permission, to serve this medicine, because if it's not indigenous people, you can serve medicine and you can train with an indigenous people. And normally this takes years of training, and then they can give you permission, or so to say, pass down the altar, saying, okay, yeah, you can facilitate ceremonies now. So if somebody, if they say that the medicine gave them permission because they drank twice, before, definitely big no. So these are, you can ask about contraindications. They should tell you all the contraindications, when there is the medical intake, like if you what kind of, if you take any medications or supplements, all these kind of things have to be disclosed. You can ask if they have any ethical guidelines or a mission statement or something that they work by, right? Some kind of principles. You can ask them if they ever dealt with a spiritual emergency before, in the ceremony setting, right? So you can ask if they are trauma informed, or is there facilitators there who are trauma informed, okay? So there's many questions to ask, but all the questions regarding, if somebody doesn't want to answer these questions, if somebody's getting pissed off or frustrated or condescending with you, definitely super red flag. People should provide all this information, and any person with integrity, I will tell you, will happily provide this information. Probably it's on their website already, or it's very clearly outlined, and they have a strict documentation and confidentiality and everything set up, right? So if there is none of this is present, it's definitely, think about that. Maybe you are not at the right place. Okay. And the last question that people ask is that what happens in an ayahuasca ceremony? What can you expect in an ayahuasca ceremony? And as I said, this can be, very different depending on the person and the particular experience. But normally, at the beginning there, before they open the space and the ceremony, normally these ceremonies take place in nature, in the jungle, traditionally in a kind of like a palapa, which is like a half open mosquito netted palapa roof building, circular building. That's or maloca traditionally, but of course, people have ceremonies in many places now. But in general, it's in nature, traditionally in nature or close to nature. And before they start the ceremony, normally there is an information circle when they will tell you all the rules and guidelines that you adhere to. Okay. And if they don't tell you, you should definitely ask, but they should tell you at the beginning when everybody is present what to do, what not to do during the ceremony. You should get this information. So, for example, a couple of things that they can say to you that, stay till the end of the ceremony, nobody leaves earlier, stay inside the temple, the palapa, the maloka, wherever is the space where the ceremony is conducted. Don't go outside unless you need to go to the toilet and then come back. That, don't talk to other people or intervene into their processes through touching or, any shape and form during the process, because even though you are in a group setting, but it's kind of an individual experience and you are going within and inside of yourself. So just avoid, touching others or making loud noises, like and respect others' place and the space of healing for everybody, right? And then once they told you all the rules and they give you some advice, like for example, sit upright, use your breath to navigate difficult moments, these kind of things. Then normally they open the ceremony, officially opening the space. There is an opening ritual that the shaman does either in front of everybody, that this can be done even before the people get there. Normally they open the space and call in the directions, call in the plant allies, the plant spirits, and this serves, a type of protection for the space and for the ceremony. And also it connects them with those ally spirits, who they work with during the ceremony. Once the space is set, they normally go around with mapacho, which is sacred tobacco in the Amazon, and they blow the smoke on top of your head to open your crown chakra and to open your energetic body, so you are more receptive and you can, go deeper into the experience. And once this happens, they normally start serving the medicine, and normally people go up one by one to the altar where the medicine is and where the shaman is, and they will look at you and give you a certain amount of medicine that they know intuitively or guided by the plant spirits how much to pour to each person. And if you are first timers, you're probably gonna get just a small amount and they will give you later more. But yeah, they give you the first dose of the medicine. And in some traditions, there is only one serving, and they serve you one time at the beginning, and then you have the experience, and that's it. But in a lot of other traditions, they serve you once at the beginning, and then there is every couple of hours there's opportunity to go to more medicine, or they can allow people to come up to have more medicine when they feel ready. So either way, but normally there's possibility to take more medicine and go deeper in your journey. After the first serving, there is a little period of time, normally about half an hour, 40 minutes, while the medicine kind of goes down to your stomach and through your digestive system and reaches the digestive system. And when she gets there, most people go through what we call purging. And this purging is really a release of energy, and it can manifest like vomiting or going to the toilet or intense sweating or shaking or or having heat waves or cold waves or yawning or yeah, just kind of these ways. So this is like you're being kind of the medicine pushing out and detoxifying. The ayahuasca wine itself has a very strong detoxifying effect. So you are going through this kind of purge, not just physically, but it's also energetic and emotional as well. So yeah, there is a little bit of discomfort there sometimes. And there is this big wave in the beginning, after the first serving. And then after that, you are going to that like deeper psychedelic journey experience when you are this really altered state, when your senses are magnified, time is, distorted, and in this space, the medicine is guiding you to just expand your awareness and really see things from different perspective that will help you to make peace with what happened and peace with yourself and access your inner resources and remember who you are beyond, what happened to you and all these kind of things that is very hard to put in words, but she is called and named the teacher plant. And I definitely feel that with her, that is like, I feel like I'm learning so much, but through experience, not an intellectual process. And just growing so much through this learning process, right? So once your journey is kind of like over, you are getting more present and more grounded and kind of coming back from that very altered space. And normally there is a couple of hours of rest and before they wrap up and kind of end the ceremony. While you are in the experience from the very beginning, there is so-called prayer songs or icaros that is like specific songs that are sung in specific moments that work a little bit like surgical instruments, I tell you, to kind of facilitate that clearing and that purification and an expansion of consciousness. So these songs are very, very important part of the experience. If you are going to a ceremony where they're gonna play some playlist from a speaker, if you have a choice, like I wouldn't do that because it's so impersonal and also it's very different energy with when there is live music. Well, music, some people play instruments, but traditionally with the Shipibos, they only sing the Icaros and all they have is a rattle, and that's it basically. So now, for example, the circle I go to, they use a guitar, harmonium, so certain instruments. So people can use different instruments, but it's not necessary that there are instruments, but there is the songs, the specific songs that are sung, to the people, to the group at certain times. That is very, very important. And I'm not going to go into it, the significance, but yeah, that's the whole part of the experience. And then you are resting, and kind of recuperating after your experience for a couple of hours. And then in the morning, there is like a sharing circle and they officially close the space. And definitely, I would say if they send you straight after the journey, it's like, okay, bye, go home and you have to drive or something, like I would not do that. You are so in an altered state. So that normally any authentic place, you would stay there, good couple of hours when you are still like grounding and coming back fully to your body and just being more present. All right. So I didn't want to make it so long today, but I hope that I didn't stretch it too long and you got a lot of good info and a lot of good answers out of this. And this is our ultimate ayahuasca guide. These are, the most important things you have to know about ayahuasca, about how to just approach an ayahuasca experience if you're called to do that. And yeah, the best, I didn't mention obviously to have a professional guide because I always say that. from the beginning, right? So in my program, Ayahuasca Assisted Therapy, people come to my program when they decide, okay, I want to have this experience, and we go through this 15 months together, and we do a 3 months preparation, and then there is one retreat, and there is like a 1 year integration process, and it's all guided and supported, the whole container. So, and I have the best results of this. I have 100% recovery with this program. And I really believe that, that if you have this kind of support, not just in the ceremony, but before and after, that like increases your chances to take the best out of your experience and to get those breakthrough results that you are looking for. So if you need guidance, if you are committed, to go deep and to really create fundamental changes in your life that will sustain, reach out to me or, other therapists who are working with the medicine in a similar way. And if you are a person who already has a lot of experience and now you are thinking of like pivoting your career and supporting others with psychedelic therapy, psychedelic integration, especially with the Mother Ayahuasca, check out my training program and come and sign up for a discovery call now if you're interested, so we can see if it's the right match. So thank you for your time. Just don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to share this video. That will be very helpful. Leave a comment. If there's other questions that you think are really important and I didn't cover, please leave a comment so we can make another episode, and address all those questions. And stay tuned for our next episode. Have a wonderful, magical day. Lots of love to you all. Thank you for listening, and leave a comment if you enjoyed this episode. Help us grow our community by sharing this episode with your friends and subscribe to our channel to receive the latest on ayahuasca assisted therapy. To embark on your healing journey or to start a new career in psychedelic assisted therapy, go to my website, avatarhealingarts.com, and get in touch. And of course, stay tuned for the next episode.